Welcome to the Challenge Chronicles. I'm Devin Jordan. I'm with Rob McIntyre and Trace Armstrong. We are here to talk about the Challenge USA Episode 6. Thank you for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, we would love if you subscribed, give us a like. Helps other people find the show. We're trying to get more into YouTube. We're trying to be hip, trying to be cool. Episode 6.
I'm never going to be hip or cool. I'm never going to be hip or cool. I'm almost 40. That's done.
Episode 6. I thought this episode was whatever. This was probably one of the worst episodes of the season.
It's just another B plus, right?
Yeah, I didn't think it was bad. I just don't think anything broke their way from a storyline perspective as far as the people that were put in the position to who won the mission. I think that's what it came down to. No one that worthwhile was put in that spot.
Yeah, well, so a couple of things on that. It definitely seemed like David wanted to make a power move, but Desi very much did not. She definitely seemed like she wanted to keep things chill, and attractive women tend to get what they want. So that's how that situation moved forward.
Do you think he actually wanted to make a power move?
I think he did.
I don't think he did. I think that was kind of just lip service for the camera, because do you think he would have actually put a strong team member in against his best alliance mate? It seemed like Enzo was the person who is his number one. Is he really going to put Tyson in against his number one?
When Tyson's partner has food poisoning and can barely walk, yeah.
I still don't think they were going to risk it.
I don't know. I think he would have done something a little bit more aggressive if Desi wasn't there.
Or they brought up Kyland, and who was partners with Kyland this episode?
Who was it? I don't have my laptop on me, unfortunately.
It was Cache, which...
Cache.
I mean, that's probably
not good.
Yeah.
I mean, she seems like she has a brain on her, at least. I could see her sort of similar to, like, in Amber or Kaylee being, like, competent at a couple of eliminations. I'd rather have her than Shannon, I feel like, in most things. Shannon with her poor hamstring, too.
You just said Amber M?
Yeah.
Dude, like, that's pretty...
That's a flashback. I didn't even remember there was another Amber.
That's, like, not good. If you're comparing her to Amber
I'm just saying, there's a difference between, like, people who are absolute disasters and people who are not physically competitive, but there's a clear, like, they know what they're doing to them. I think Cache...
I mean, wasn't the name of that alliance the Itty Bitty Shitty Committee or something like that?
I think it was just the Itty Bitty Committee. I don't think they added that extra.
Well, my adjective is still correct.
Well, like, they were at least made a couple power moves. Like, they were somewhat effective.
Okay.
I think we need to pour one out for Shannon St. Clair.
I agree. Bring her back, please. I want her back. I found out in one of the exit interviews that she was like a last-second replacement.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
and
she wasn't even supposed to be there
at all either. She had no clue what she was doing.
I think she's great. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how
main show, all stars, whatever you want to do, I'm all for it.
How many of the people on this show would you not want to see over some of the people on the regular show?
I think that's more of a statement about the main show than it is about the people on this show.
Sure, but still.
Yeah. The rookies have not been quality lately on the main show.
There's some people that, I mean, are pretty mediocre on this cast, Rob. Like David Alexander. Like, would you really want to see more of him? I really wouldn't want to see more of Enzo. I think he's fine.
David Alexander is the modern day Ty. You know, like they come in with quote unquote hype, and then they do nothing, and they're just non-existent.
He's not as angry as Ty.
This is true.
I think Derek showed potential, and from what we've heard, it seemed like he could have been a really good person on the cast, but I don't know how much he actually gave us.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just how the season's been edited so far. They haven't really highlighted people like that as much, that are just kind of characters. Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to mention too, that I don't think has really been like portrayed on the show, there's been some agreement amongst people who have won a mission to this point, that they're not going to throw in other people who have won a mission.
Yes.
So once you enter sort of that winner's circle that obviously Tyson, Angela, Kyland, those are all a part of, you're not going to do that. You're not going to reshake that boat until at a certain point you're going to have to. But for the time being, no.
Yeah.
And I mean, Desi very much seems like she'd be great to just let's put the power plays together and just ride to the end.
Yeah, I think that's something very important to note. Mawang in Discord sent out or mentioned that everyone should listen to the podcast that Tyson had last week. And that's one of the pieces of information that Tyson brought to light, was how important, or I guess the push to not put in people that had already won a mission. That was something that was going on in the house. That was a narrative. And that was something that was present that I don't think we've seen from an editing perspective until this week.
Well, I don't even know if we saw it this week. It was hinted.
We heard it.
Did we hear it on the show?
Somebody
From
said
Desi.
a sentence from Desi.
By Desi.
I know they had hinted at it before, but...
She said that she didn't want to put in someone that had already won before.
That's right. That's right.
That's what we heard. So we didn't even hear that was something that was going on in the house. We just heard that that's something that she wanted to do.
It's odd they wouldn't spotlight that more at that point, if they're going to just have her randomly say that.
Well, I think they don't want to do that because it gives away, like, oh, the cast of people that are actually going to get put in is way smaller. They want it to seem like it's wide open. So, like, I can understand from a producer-editor standpoint why you wouldn't want that out there because it takes away a lot of the mystery.
I feel like you still need to include her confessional at that point, though.
Yeah. But I didn't say this earlier, but, like, I kind of agree with Devin. Like, this was not a great episode, but it just felt like there just wasn't a lot happening. But I would still say, like, it still got the job done. It was a B. I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed it more than anything I saw on Spies, Lies, and Allies. So, like, and I also still love the 45-minute runtime. Like, that's key.
Oh, God. I mean, last night when I was about ready to tee this up, I just thought to myself how glad I was that it was only 45 minutes and not an hour. It makes a huge difference.
It does.
It
really does.
Yeah.
It just zips by. The pacing is way much better. It's cleaner. They can craft a better story. I think all around it's just a much better product.
Yeah. Hey, and Devin, this week they gave you, I think they're listening to the pod because the last couple weeks we've gone in depth about you would like to see more of the thought process into potentially who's going in. And this week they actually did that. Like they actually, like the people that were going in, they gave a lot of clues. They did some political maneuvering. And then when they got to the announcement, it was like, okay, here are the two teams that are probably going in. And one of those two teams did go in. So like they actually did follow a better narrative cycle of that this week.
No flashbacks.
Yeah, they did it. But it was in the least suspenseful vote that we've had this season. So
I know, but it is what it is.
My other criticism, So my other criticism I have another criticism with the edit from what happened this week, and I feel like they've done it multiple times throughout this season. They have pretty much devolved back into Inferno 1 style editing with who is going into elimination. We haven't heard from Enzo and David Alexander pretty much all season. And then right before we get into the mission, we get a conversation between David and Enzo talking about how they really need to win one. Yep. And how if David is put in a position, or how if they win, they're going to help each other out.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen.
That was the thing. It's like David Alexander has literally been a ghost. And he's getting all this screen time. Enzo hasn't been a ghost, but he's not been featured. And all of a sudden, the two of them are glaring. So I immediately went, wow, I guess David Alexander's going to win a mission. Because Enzo, I have a hard time seeing him win a mission. So he's probably going into elimination. So it was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And I was fine with it. But I just find it hilarious that David Alexander got more screen time tonight than he did combined the previous 5 episodes.
He had one elimination already.
Easily. I know.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
It is odd. I mean, I feel like I barely even knew what Enzo's voice sounded like before tonight. Like he's got this like mafioso Italian voice that I just was not expecting.
Well, with a name like Enzo.
Yeah, I should have seen that coming. It just feels like this. The one thing I hope doesn't happen is this puts more of a ceasefire towards what seems like a pretty compelling rivalry between the Tyson and Sarah sides of the Survivor Alliance. Like, do we think this just kind of puts that on pause?
Yeah, I think so. Especially based off of the preview from next week. I think that could definitely happen. And what's unfortunate too is that the pairs were set up in a way this week that it could have been major fireworks with Ben and Sarah paired with each other.
That's another thing we need to talk about because this algorithm thing has been shown to be nonsense. Like, because
people are losing their shit.
Hold on.
Okay.
So was there no way that they could have had unique pairs all the way around?
Somebody posted, like, I think...
What the fuck are they doing, dude?
Okay.
What are they doing?
Everybody chill.
Producer manipulation is the primary thing they're doing. The other thing is it seems...
Dude, these people are a fucking joke. This is a complete...
Well, all right, I'm going to give production the benefit of the doubt.
How?
Okay?
If there were unique pairs all the way around, there's no way that you can give them the benefit of the doubt.
But here's the thing. the way the algorithm would work in a true algorithm, if it's random, they're going to randomly pick the male that they're going to randomly pair up next. So the algorithm is not going to look at all the things and go, oh, we could do this clean. It's going to just pick a random male, and then it's going to run through the list of females that they haven't been with yet, and they're going to put them together, and you're going to go down the list.
It does not have to do that.
And by the time that guy finally popped up in the algorithm, there were no female competitors left for him to be paired with. So let's say that it's a true algorithm. It actually functioned exactly the way that it should.
I completely disagree. I mean, just to show like how it could have worked correctly, you can just switch.
My company builds algorithms. I understand this.
I'm just saying, you can switch Dom and Ben around, and then there's no issue. Everyone has unique pairs. But you could what you call have your algorithm do. You put a code in that says, "Hey, give me all."
It just
pairs.
sees it all ahead of time,
Yeah.
and then just tells you the answers.
It runs the whole.
It takes
like what it could do is it could run the whole algorithm, like you're saying, and then if it hits one it can't make a unique pair. Okay, we reset and we start over again. That's what the algorithm should do. Like if that.
And there is no fucking algorithm.
There is not an algorithm.
There is no fucking algorithm.
Sorry to like tell you the truth, Fairy doesn't exist here, but there's not actually an algorithm that we.
Yeah,
you really think they hired some engineer to program this for them?
No,
and, like,
that's
go
why
in-depth
I'm
for how to
joking
do
about
this?
it.
Like,
That's why
engineer. Like I can find some free website to do that for me. Like
I know. I was just kind of half giving everybody a hard time to stir up some trouble there.
My other thing, what they could do is they actually could develop a very, very, very simple like Excel VBA program that just spits out all the different random combinations you could have that are unique, and then you can even pick which one of those you like the best and use that one. You can do that very easily.
Yeah. But that was a very intentional decision to go ahead and pair Ben and Sarah together this week. And next week, I would bet my paycheck that next week Tyson and Sarah are paired together.
That sucks, though. I don't want that. I want them to be opposed.
Yeah, it does suck.
It's like with these.
If anything, it's going to be hilarious to see. Like, let's say I feel like based on the trailer, not only are they paired together, but they're going to win the mission as well. And so they're going to have to agree and have completely different agendas on who gets thrown in.
I think it's gonna kill that storyline.
Yeah.
Because if they get paired together next week and they win the mission together, then I can completely see them working with each other from that point on.
Well, the other thing that does is then we just talked about this whole winners thing. Now they're both winners. Now Sarah's in this winners circle with us that has this alliance. And I mean, at a certain point that is going to have to break. So maybe they target each other again. But I think it would at least like it would put a pause in it. It would seem for a little bit.
Yeah, it will do that.
I think from a competition perspective, and this was not something that I expected coming into the season, Sarah has been extremely disappointing.
I would say she's just been fine.
Well, I think, at least based off of my expectations, she's wildly underperformed. I thought she was going to be potentially the best female by a mile.
Oh,
and what I thought how she would do is pretty much how Angela has performed. I think Angela has been far and away the best female competitor, and Sarah's kind of just been almost unnoticeable.
Well, she never really won competitions on Survivor.
Exactly, right? And that was in Tyson's podcast last week. That's something that he brought up.
Yeah.
Ben and Sarah have each never won an individual immunity. They've never won an individual immunity, and they've never won a mission on the challenge.
Yeah, like Tasha was winning more competitions than either of them.
Which is hard to believe when you think about it. So, you know, it just goes to show that just because you came from Survivor as a winner, it doesn't necessarily mean you're a good competitor. It means it could be that you're just so good at politics and you're able to make fire and you're the last person standing. Like, that happens in Survivor because I feel like the really great competitors these days, they get dropped in Survivor as quickly as possible because they see them as threats to win. So, like, it's all about being the right political player these days in Survivor.
That's pretty much always been the case. Like, I don't know if they're...
not necessarily. Boston Rob basically ran the fucking table back in the day on Redemption Island. And he had the politics. Well, he won like 4 individual immunities.
I don't know about that. Like, I could count on one hand the amount of times that people have won because of their immunity prowess. Like, it's like Brad Culpepper made it to the end and lost. Mike from One World, that's pretty much how he won,
Mm-hmm.
was by winning immunity challenges, making it to the end. Who else?
What was his name? Chris.
Chris Doherty in Vanuatu. He won on immunity.
No.
Yeah, the one the women all hated each other by the end, so he won by default. But he won a couple of key immunities where he was going to get voted
And like
out.
it's obviously very different. Underwood kind of did too.
So
It's very different.
Not even.
Rob's phone
He
is
made
just
it-
like
he
a
made it in
roller
right
coaster.
before- Rob,
But some people
move
keep,
it down.
people keep texting me, and then the phone buzzes and it like slides down.
Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't be the Challenge Chronicles without funny
Yeah,
technical
I haven't had that
moments.
issue before. I actually usually have it Do Not Disturb. I can't really reset
You're a
it.
popular man.
Now. I have it down.
Popular man.
What was I gonna say?
For those of you listening, Rob's camera just keeps
We're
going
just gonna
like
have to leave it
this.
like this. I don't know what to do at this point. We're trying to go to
We
the
get you a phone.
We're trying to go to the
Get you a
Padres
phone
Nationals
book.
game tonight for Soto's return, and the communication is fierce.
Just stay in the middle.
There you
Like,
go.
I don't care what the fuck you have to do. Just stay in the middle of the fucking camera.
What I was gonna say too. So another thing that's been interesting. None of these eliminations have really been like headbangers.
I think that's
Correct.
by
They've-
design.
they've all
I don't
been-
think.
They've all been like smaller versions of emissions, basically.
Yeah, I think that by design they're trying to reduce injury, and you're only going to see one or two headbangers a year because we've seen in the trailer for the season that hall brawl occurs in this. So I will be very interested to see when that gets introduced.
Because, I mean, how many headbangers have we seen in All-Stars? Not really.
Not as
right?
many.
I would bet
Pole wrestle is the only real headbanger we've seen.
Like balls in.
I would bet proportionally we see about as many headbangers in USA as we did in All-Stars, the first few All-Stars.
Yeah.
And the thing too is the times we've seen pole wrestle, someone has gotten injured each time. Season 1, Ace cracked a rib. Season 2, somebody else hurt a rib. Like,
Wasn't
people
Tyler.
get hurt doing these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So.
true. If you were,
What did you think of the format of the elimination this week?
that's fine. I thought the spelling bee at the beginning was kind of unnecessary.
Dude.
Yeah, literally get rid of the fucking spelling
That was
bee. That
really
was
weird.
just useless shit. I'm sorry. Useless shit was
Burned
what
up
that
so much
was.
time.
There was no point to it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm almost surprised that they just didn't edit it out and not even show us that it was there. It was that bad. Because they could have done it and we would have never known.
Yeah, it was very odd.
Let's talk about that elimination for a minute. So, the way that they were structuring the confessionals, I was like, damn, Enzo is really going to come back and pull this off. Because the way they were showing the tires falling for Derek and Shannon, I was like, this dude looks like a smart guy. What is he doing? Like, I literally was going, how did Daniel and Shannon lose this? And it literally was just shitty stacking of tires, whereas Enzo was like, you know what? We're just going to make a pancake. And I literally was shocked because I literally thought Derek was smarter than that. And I kept saying, wow, he's really going to lose this. And when they did, I went, I can't believe he lost that.
I think they still would have been ahead even if it wasn't for the 5-tire head start, too. Because at the point in which they had all of their tires over, or close to all of their tires over, and they being Derek and Shannon, it still seems like Enzo and who was his partner? Justine still had quite a few more than 5. I could not be remembering.
Well,
that.
Derek and I keep wanting to call him Daniel because he looks like a friend of mine who's named Daniel, but that's beside the point. Derek and Shannon, like, they had multiple instances where their tires were falling over. Like, it happened 3 or 4 times in the midst of the elimination, and they wouldn't fix it in the moment or change their strategy. It was just, well, let's just get all the tires over here and then we'll fix it. But it was like the Leaning Tower of Pisa at that point. When you fixed one, more fell. It was just like, what are you doing? Like, for real. You guys had this, you had a 5-tire lead. Justine's not great. Enzo is okay, and even though Shannon is Shannon, I still felt like she was better than Justine.
Really?
So they should have won this.
I mean, Justine's been.
What did he say?
He said Shannon's been.
I
better
felt
than
like
Justine.
Shannon was better than Justine for this.
No, Shannon's got a pulled hamstring, and Justine's actually been like competent so far. Like she's won a mission,
Alright.
elimination. Like, yeah, I think she's been much better than Shannon.
I guess I felt like maybe Derek canceled out both Justine and Enzo, it seemed like. Because Derek's not been seen as like this awesome competitor, but he seemed more competent. And that was proven wrong in this elimination.
Let's talk about David and Desi's
I was
decision
gonna say, yeah.
to throw in Derek and throw in Enzo and Justine.
No, they threw in Derek
and Shannon. Yeah, to throw in Derek and Shannon. We saw a confessional with Alyssa where Alyssa brought up how it was surprising that David decided to throw in another Big Brother cast member who, by her account, had been helping him throughout the course of the season. I also think that's a very interesting decision when they could have taken the very easy route to just throw in Leo and Kayla.
Yeah.
Not stir the boat at all. Two people that had already been in an elimination once, two people that had never won a mission, and two people who seemingly were not aligned in the same way. So I don't get why that did not occur.
Who knows?
I think there's two reasons, if I'm being personal about it. I think his reasoning of, like, he doesn't want to be paired with Justine moving forward, I think that was one of his concerns, or Shannon moving forward. So, like, I think he wanted to ensure that whoever went in would beat them.
I mean, if them just pairing people with other people that already you've been partners with, like, I mean, fuck it at this point.
I mean,
like, I don't think you need to worry about it.
I mean, they're still gonna have them try to be unique mostly. I don't know. Their failure in that department is kind of, I don't know. That's his own thing. But
I think the other thing is, I think maybe his alliance with Enzo was stronger, and Enzo told him who he wanted. And I mean, that's the only other thing I can think of.
I think that probably has a lot to do with it. Rob, how are you going to feel when 3 out of the next 4 weeks, Tyson's paired with Angela, and they flash to TJ, and he goes, "It's the perfect algorithm."
Yeah, great. Seriously. Well, that was my thing is I would have put in Tyson in here. I really would have. I just don't think you're going to have any better chance to get rid of him.
This was your best shot to get rid of him.
His partner has
like,
food
seriously.
poisoning. She can barely walk.
Like, Tyson's amazing, but could he have made up that many tires to cover for her?
And if you're
that's the real question.
If you're that concerned about
him, though.
What better chance you're going to have to get rid of him?
He wouldn't have even been able to make it up because you each had to get the same amount of tires, right? You had to alternate.
No,
if I'm not mistaken,
that was not true.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
You could. The only rule was you could only take one tire at a time.
No, I feel like I remember there was a comment by a producer at one point when they said it's Shannon's turn to take a tire toward the end.
Oh.
Shannon has to take a tire.
Okay, maybe they didn't exactly explain that rule then, because I did not hear that rule, but if it was a rule, they didn't exactly announce that.
I just think you're not going to get any better chance to get rid of him. Right? Like, if you're David, I don't see when else you're going to do it.
I mean, the only other thing I can think of is Enzo said, I don't think I can beat Tyson, but they also don't know the rules of the elimination before they do it. They can kind of see it, but you're not necessarily going to know that rule that you have to carry an equal number of tires. They probably didn't even know what they were going to do. They they could guess at it, but...
And I feel like Enzo gave him cover to do it, at least. When they were in the deliberation, he was like, oh, he's got a big bank account and stuff like that. Like, it seems like he would have hinted at it enough where he wouldn't have felt backstabbed by it.
I think all of that was lip service. Everything that took place in that conversation. I don't put any merit into that whatsoever.
Okay.
I don't either.
I think it pretty much comes down to you have Kira who is sick and you have Shannon who has a pulled hamstring. Who knows what's going to happen? I think that's what it comes down to. I don't think it's as clear cut as you throw in Tyson there and he's probably going home. I think it really comes down to the partners.
I just think there's no better chance you're going to have to get rid of him. Like, when else? You're just going to wait and just let him make it.
Agree.
So you want to take a chance of him maybe or maybe not going home, it coming down to the partners, and screwing over the person who you're aligned with most closely in the house. Your number one alignment.
Yes, I actually think that Tyson was the correct move here, in my opinion. Even if you're tight with Enzo, at the end of the day, it is you who wins, and you help your alliance to a certain point. But can we all agree in this podcast that if Tyson makes the final, he's the favorite to win it?
He's the favorite, but it's like a 34% chance, though.
He's the favorite in... Is there anyone that could conceivably be cast on the show that you would have as a favorite over Tyson?
Jordan or Landon in the final.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's insane to me. No
way.
way.
I think Tyson smoke shows them.
He's an endurance athlete, dude.
Yeah, like
I
Landon
think
hasn't been on in a while.
He's an endurance athlete, and he's incredible at puzzles and math. Like, I don't know, dude. Like,
He could
I don't
literally
it depends on what the final
drag
is.
anybody.
Like, I mean, I don't.
Of course,
Yeah,
yeah.
like there's
Yeah.
just to say rip it a random
But
final, I wouldn't take the two of them over him. I would.
We can at least agree that on this cast of Challenge USA, he is by far the favorite. And right now, in this moment, he didn't win the mission. He's got a partner who's okay. She's not great. And she's been violently ill, puking for 2 days. You have to take that shot, even if it's your friend, because at the end of the day, only one of you can win.
Well, my other thing is you can also just go up to Enzo and ask him. Say, hey, I really want to do this. I think this is the best chance we're gonna have to get rid of him. I think for really both of our games, if we actually want to win, like you have a much better chance of beating Tyson here than if we're running in a decent final in a couple weeks. Like this is our chance to get rid of him, and you can see what he says. If he's like, God no, that would break me, then okay, maybe then you don't do it. But if at all fine with it, then yeah, I think you do it.
We've talked about this. Like, it doesn't matter because these finals are a joke, dude. Like, I don't think there's any. It's more likely than not that this is going to be a complete sham. It's just going to be a roll of the dice. You might as well flip coins. And so I don't think that there's I don't think getting rid of Tyson before the final is enough of a benefit compared to being able to keep your close alliance member in the house.
I completely disagree.
Dude, these finals are a complete joke.
They do suck.
All right, I will concede that lately the finals have been a joke, but let's say that they structure it like the All-Stars 3 final.
I don't think you can say that that's going to happen though. And
I can't, but you can't say it won't happen either.
I think it's way more likely that's going to be a joke, and I think the All-Stars 3 final was a joke too. I think what happened is we just got the winner that everyone thought should win. It could like that run in the All-Stars 3 final for the second part was marginally longer than the one in All-Stars 2, and there was one more puzzle. That's it. That was the only difference.
All right, and then let's also compare it to Spies, Lies, and Allies. Let's say that it's a final like Spies, Lies, and Allies. So it just means you have to basically finish the first 90% of it. All right, so Tyson finishes the first 90%. You get to the last 10%, and let's say the dice roll, and it's Tyson and Angela, and all they have to do is run. They're winning. Period. I don't want to get to that final stage of the final and Tyson be standing there. Period. That's my point. Like, I can understand where you're coming from. I just really disagree with it. I think that if you have a chance to take out Tyson, you have to take the shot. And this is because next week he's probably paired with Sarah, and that means now he's been paired with everybody. The next algorithm could serve him up Alyssa or Angela, still in a good place. Not Tasha, Desi, still in a good place. Like, this is probably your last chance to get him stuck with a shitty partner in elimination. You have to take the shot.
Maybe I am blind to something, but I just think she seemed like she was in a position where she was going to be non-competitive and whatever she was in.
I mean, so my thing is that she was going to be non-competitive, and Shannon had a pulled hamstring. You know.
Well, okay, if we've got a situation where there's two people who are both going to be completely incompetent, whatever they're put in, pick the one who's paired to the better partner. Then, since they're going to lose or they're likely to lose.
So this is where I'm coming from. I don't think it's worth him to lose his closest alliance member, potentially his closest alliance member, over getting rid of someone who he thinks is a finals threat when anyone can win a final.
The other thing is, like, what's Enzo doing?
That's what I'm saying. He's at least a number.
But no,
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, really. Like,
it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Like, really nothing. Your numbers
honestly, the best
your numbers
Enzo
really don't matter
right now is Enzo's worse than him, so Enzo's more likely to lose a mission than he is at this point. That's as a meat shield. That's a decent benefit.
That's honestly that's a really good point. I never really thought about that, but that is value, right? Like, you do want to keep people around that are worse than you.
Yeah. The only other benefit that I could see to keeping not throwing Tyson in is, okay, let's say that David, even though he's been super quiet, he's still in the Angela, Alyssa, Derek alliance, okay? If they go to him and say, look, we're working with Tyson. If you throw him in, you're now public enemy number one. That is the only other reason I see not throwing Tyson in, because otherwise you have to do it now. Because if you don't do it now, his partners the rest of the way, he could win every mission, and he's just going to cakewalk through the final.
We've talked about from his perspective. I mean, we seem to be some differing opinions there. I really think I would have put Tyson in here, and I feel pretty confident in that. From her perspective, we think this is just fine. Like, this is just an easy move to do.
Yeah, it doesn't affect her at all.
it makes the least amount of waves to throw them in.
She had a couple of different.
Although honestly, they should have thrown in Amazing Race. Like if they were really trying to not make waves, nobody likes Leo. They find him really annoying. If he goes home, everybody's happy. And then Kayla's actually pretty decent on the female side, so you would make Alyssa and Angela and many people happy if they go home.
Is she has she had Leo yet?
Who?
I think they've all had Leo at this point.
No, they haven't gone through that much yet.
Leo was with Angela already, and she was not thrilled about it.
Okay.
That was last week.
I was curious if he had been with Desi yet. Yeah,
I can't remember.
I really don't think we've been that much through these pairs, by the way. Like, have Desi and Tyson been paired?
No.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
What are we doing here, bro? Like, this algorithm stuff, man. Like,
we're manufacturing parody.
When you talk about Johnny Mosey behind the camera, that's definitely what it is. He has one of his fancy little hats, and he pulls names out of it, and then if it's random, he likes it, and then if he forgets that they're paired together, then they're still paired together.
Then it's still fine. All I know is that on my, this isn't really that, but on my What Would Johnny Bananas Do bracelet, he would have thrown Tyson in and not thought twice about it.
That's not really a move he makes. I think Wes would have done that for sure. Johnny's not always that aggressive.
I don't think he would have, because he's probably aligned with Tyson.
Yeah.
He's probably aligned with Tyson.
That's more of a Wes move than a Johnny move. Wes is much more likely to find these big fish and work at them until they go away.
Yeah, speaking of which, Tyson is recording an episode of Bananas Podcast for next week, so I'm actually really excited to hear what that podcast sounds like, because I have a feeling Johnny's going to be like, dude, you're smoke showing it. I think they're going to have a really interesting discussion.
I mean, I think Tyson's going to walk to the final at this point. I don't think there's...
It would take an extraordinary set of bad circumstances with who's left for him to go home. It would have to be 5 worlds collide at once, and he just gets the worst luck. Like, let's say it's the hall brawl elimination he has to go in, and he wins his side, the female loses her side, they flip a coin, and the females have to go again, the female loses again, Tyson goes home. Like, there is a scenario for it, but a lot of things would have to fall into place for him to go home.
Who are the worst players left at this point on either side?
Cachet, Leo, David. The men's side definitely seems a lot softer than the women's side.
Yeah, it does. Because I feel like it's Tyson and Kylan at the top, and who's after the two of them?
Danny, I guess.
I think you have 3 tiers right now on the male side. You've got Tyson and who you just said. I'm sorry, Kylan. They're at the top. The next tier is Danny and Ben, and then there's everybody else.
I don't even know how good Ben is.
I think he's probably better than some of the other Jamokes that are still left. And I don't even really think they're Jamokes. They just...
I don't think there's much different between him and David. Like, David at least won a mission at this point. I know David was kind of a joke coming in, but Ben was kind of a joke coming in. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I remember watching. I hadn't seen his original Survivor season,
really?
And when I saw him get as far as he did on Winners at War, I was like, "How's this sumbitch still around?"
Yeah, he was the one person on that cast everyone looked at was like, "All right, this is the guy. This is
the meat shield."
Yeah, this is the one where he'd have a real tough go getting the win out of this. On the
because nobody really liked him. Sarah liked him, and that's about it.
On the female side, like I said, I think Cachet is at least competent. Is there anyone else who's that bad?
Dude, all right, hold on. Let's talk about this. What do we think about Cachet's decision to go to Sarah and apologize for the move, and said that the reason that she... Dude, I thought this was complete fucking horseshit. That the reason... Like, I couldn't believe this. She, like, brings out the alligator tears and tells Sarah that the reason why she was okay with putting in Sarah and Leo last week is because Tyson went to her and essentially psyched her out and said that the way that Sarah works is she gets close to people and then sends them home, which I guess 1 is true, and 2, by all intents and purposes, last week we saw the reason that Cachet decided to put Sarah and Leo in is because she didn't want to be partners with Leo. Not one point in time did we see that she wasn't the one who was kind of guiding the decision, that it was predominantly her who was the one that made the decision. We never saw that she wanted to do that because of some potential issue with Sarah.
I Yeah, I mean, I don't think she was being entirely honest in that moment. I think if it gets you on her good side, like, well, why not? Like, there have been worse decisions made than to, misrepresent the situation a little bit and curry some favor back. Okay, if she's able to do that, honestly, great move by her. If she's able to work that with Sarah.
I wish they would have showed
It
us
was
that that's what
worth
she
a
was trying to do, though.
shot.
Oh, you think that they played it too honestly and they didn't give her more of the deceitful
They
edit?
played it completely honest. We
Yeah, they
we
did.
never got a confessional from Cache that was like, oh, like I know what I'm doing. I didn't actually.
Maybe she
I,
didn't
I
give him
didn't
one.
actually make the decision because of this. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't enough backlash from Sarah, or there wasn't any backlash from Sarah.
Maybe she didn't give him one. I don't know that her here even saying. I'm curious. So she says that Tyson says that Sarah gets close to people and then cuts them off. I don't like. I mean, that is true, like you said. Like that she's not afraid to do that.
Happens.
That does happen. And I wonder. I think it'll be a little bit different with this type of season, just because there's 4 teams to make the final. You don't have to worry about like whoever's going to beat you in FTC.
That was one of the things that, from what I remember, that was one of the big parts that came away from Game Changers when Sarah won, was that everyone toward the end came away feeling that Sarah was like their best friend, right? That she was super close with them. And one thing that she talked about, and I may be misremembering this to some extent, with what she did with strategy, is she would never talk like in-depth strategy and give her honest opinion when there was more than one person there, right? So if it was her and one other person, she would be more open, but if it was a larger group of people, she pretty much wouldn't say anything and wouldn't commit to anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which I think is definitely like a good. I thought that was like, when I heard her say that, I feel like I recognized that I thought that was like a very good.
Well, even when I was at war, like her and Tyson had like 10 minutes where they were like all buddy buddy, and then Tyson was gone later that episode. So
Voted him out twice.
yeah, I do think with Tyson, with him saying he's not one to play with emotion and stuff. I don't know that that's always the case.
What did we think of the mission this episode? We haven't talked about the mission yet.
It's another one. It was fine. These missions have all fit into the box of where there's like it's like 8 different Mario Party games kind of stuck together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's fine. It's better than a lot of the missions they do in other situations.
Yeah.
I almost think something a bit more direct
think,
would be better for a breath of fresh air. So.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a letdown mission after last week. Like, let's make it. I mean, it wasn't. I know they had to swim again this week, but I don't know. It's the worst mission since episode 1 because I hated that mission. I just was not a fan. I felt like it went on way too fucking long. This one, thankfully, they really severely edited it down, and you barely saw some people go, which I thought helped. I think the only thing that was interesting about this was the suspense on if Tyson and
Kira,
I forgot her name again. Kira, like, are they going to be the team automatically thrown in? And then when Enzo didn't even attempt to swing the rope, I was like, "You got to be fucking kidding me! He's going to escape this."
He really bailed him out.
He really did.
Yeah,
it was. God.
Yeah, and apparently too, Tyson's partner, Kyra, she did attempt it a second time and failed. Okay. So it wasn't just a we quit. She gave it another go and couldn't do it, and he tried to help her, but like she just got like no vertical anything. She just kind of like she didn't even come close.
That was like Siobhan on the Ruins.
Oh, it was bad.
When she swung off, at no point in time did it look like she was able to support herself on the rope. She goes off the platform and she's sliding down the rope immediately.
Yeah, man. It was not good. I mean, I think, can we get a mission just like the one on War of the Worlds 1 where they go like find the ball and hand it to their partner and they just run through the mud? You know, something like real. A bit more physical.
Way cheaper, too. Costs no money.
Way cheaper.
Physical, really easy to understand what's going on. Yeah, it's I want a mission where I can show my friends and it's like, hey, here's what they're doing, and it's not like it takes you 4 seconds. Like, oh, okay, get the ball over there. Sounds good.
Yeah.
We haven't had a what's the game? We haven't had a musical chairs mission.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe they are just straying away from the physical. They don't want to get these people injured. But it seems like everyone's in as good of shape as on the main show, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
We're all stars.
I think these are just bigger names and they give a crap more than they do
They
in
don't want
TV competitors.
they don't want
It's like,
concussions.
yeah, because it's on CBS and because it's bigger names, I would imagine that they're gonna do. We know they're doing Hall Brawl, so we know that's coming. But I think they're gonna want to minimize the risk of actual full on like dangerous shit.
I guess when you look at these other CBS
piece.
shows, none of the other CBS shows really have that level of physicality as some of the eliminations on the main show. Doing these things where your health insurance is a significant liability, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
Where Jay is like barely able to breathe after he gets hit by Rogan.
This actually bodes super well because the ratings have held rock steady. Like literally, they've been getting a 2 rating. They've been getting like 5 million viewers, something like that, and that doesn't include streaming. Like this show's coming back. Like it really is. So
I wonder how
hope
they'll
people
do that.
strap in.
How they'll do what?
If they want to redo a repeat of this, is it a repeat of the whole format, or is it?
They'll just do Challenge USA again, and they might not do Battle of
That's
the
what I'm saying.
Champions like they're going to do. They probably won't do that. I highly doubt that'll happen every year.
That'd be a
But I
lot.
think you're going to see the Challenge USA be an anchor of CBS's summer lineup because it's doing better ratings than Love Island does. And so there's no way they're not going to do this again at this point.
Yeah, especially people just love to see characters that they grew to like on previous shows and see more of them.
And I think they have a mix of it.
All right.
This mix that they've landed on too with the different characters has very much worked so far.
So we had in episode 3 and 4 crossed one man and one woman each week off as people that we did not think would be able to win the game. There is someone that we crossed off that I do think has a chance to win the game. And I sent this message out. I think Dom has a chance to win. I think the way that he's been sprinkled in and the way that he's editing, like, they've been given a lot of screen time when they don't need to at all. And a lot of screen time where they're showing what he actually thinks of what's going on.
So you think he'll just fall backwards into something?
Totally. Yeah, we talked about this before. All he has to do is make it to the final. He's like decent at stuff, right? In this episode, we saw him say he's good at math. He said that he has a master's in finance.
That's fair. That he has a master's in finance, but to claim you're good at math and to perform at that level are two exceptionally different concepts.
Yeah,
there's a chance. Him claiming that he's good at math, I don't really give a shit about that. Him saying that he has a master's in finance, I think about that a little bit differently.
I mean, could he have a CT on Double Agents thing? And that's, I mean, he's in much worse shape than CT was at that point. But I'm just saying where he just solves the puzzle and he has the best runner of the girls, so then they just win.
I think you're talking a CT on Invasion kind of thing where he had dad bod CT kind of going.
I mean, on Double Agents, he's not keeping up with Amber that well. It's way different than he was last season.
Or he finishes phase 1, which is 98% of the final, and there's one puzzle in phase 2 and he wins. Couldn't you easily see that happening?
It could happen.
Not easily, but is it possible? Yes.
I could easily see that
I don't get why that's not an easy thing.
I can definitely
that's
see that
easily.
Happening. That's just what they do, bro. And it's just not. The thing is, they can't even execute that competently all the time. You know what I mean? You have.
Touche.
All-Stars 2 and the puzzles was just God knows.
Don't get me started. I'm going to go on a rant if we talk about All-Stars 2 again.
Spies as an Allies, where they have that dumb end stage. The way they set up the teams is dumb. And then you have Tori and Kyle Tori talked about it afterwards too. She is afraid of anybody out of bad mouthing the show, I would assume, based on her relationship for the show. And she even says, yeah, producer pointed us in the wrong direction and Kyle and I jumped off a cliff. And then Casey and CT passed us. So
they still caught up to CT and Casey.
Yeah, that could easily happen.
It could. I won't dispute that. I would still have him on my cross-off list for now.
But who can't we cross off then, Devin?
What do you mean?
Who have we crossed off? What's our list right now?
Dom and Leo, we're wrapping up. Right?
We have Dom and Leo crossed off, and we have Shannon crossed off for the women. Let's do this for episode 6.
We're going to have it on the women.
Okay.
I
think Cachet's not on our cross-off list yet, because we could just cross her the fuck right off right now.
I don't think you're being too dismissive. I think she has just as much chance to win as Dom does, really. The only her harder thing is just I think the female side.
I buy Dominic more than Cachet. Cachet at no point has shown to be competent in anything.
What
I
has she
think
showed
that's
to be good
unfair.
at from a physical perspective? From a physical perspective, what has she showed to be competent at?
Not anything really.
And then the time that she was paired with Tyson and he literally drug her through the swim, and then he basically did the puzzle by himself. Like, she has not shown any capability to beat anybody in anything.
I just don't think.
So, like, I think it's very easy to cross off.
Who would you want to cross off for the females then?
I don't know. I'm just saying I don't know if there is anybody I feel really confident can't win. I'm just saying I don't see why she can't win, but Dom can. I guess is my larger point.
I'd buy Dominic
Dom
winning more than her.
Because Dom has skills and he's aligned better. That's
yeah.
Why. He has some things that he's good at.
I think her break issue as much as anything. It's just I think this female side has a lot more depth than the men does right now.
Yeah. And I think that after you cross Cachet off, it's going to be hard to cross off a female next week.
Yeah.
Because everybody left's pretty strong on the female side, at least.
I'm not saying that she isn't a good character, right? I just don't think, like, just in the same way that I'm not saying that I didn't think Shannon St. Clair was a good character. I just didn't think that they had a chance to win.
Yeah, she probably does kind of have to be the one on the men's side. Like, is it Enzo?
I mean, we could do one for this week and one for last week and put David and Enzo on there. You know, like
I don't think you can cross David off yet. Is the problem?
Why?
You think that they're gonna have him win after what they've done to him through this point in the season? Like, that would be unprecedented. We've never seen anything like that.
This show is unprecedented.
No, the challenge?
USA.
This is exactly the same. This is exactly the same as the regular show. There's no difference.
Standpoint.
I think it's pretty much identical to the regular show.
Well, but everybody's in the same camera rooms and stuff? And we've had some winners that have been somewhat buried in the edit at the beginning of the season and really peak up towards the end. Like Jordan on 30 is pretty invisible for the first couple episodes. Well, I mean, Tyson's dominating so much of the narrative on the male side.
I just think David's giving them nothing to work with. Confessional-wise, he's giving them nothing. Gameplay-wise, he's giving them nothing. The only reason he got airtime is because he won the mission. Like, and they had to do it.
What kind of odds do you want on David to win?
I'm not betting on him to win, because I don't think he will. But I don't think you can cross. I don't think you can cross him off.
45-1. That's what I want.
That's some pretty shitty odds.
So you think there is a
the odds
2% chance he's going to win? I know.
Yeah.
All right, let's just do Enzo then.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah, I feel like he's the only one you can really cross off. And then after this week again, I think it's going to get harder to cross off men. There are people that I don't think will win. But to go with your argument, if you make the final, you could half-ass fall into a win. So
I just don't think
it's going to get harder.
Especially after he alienated the Big Brother Alliance this week, right? Alyssa, one of the leaders of that alliance to this point, seems like David... She made it seem like David would
How much is that alliance
be a major inclusion. I think it's significant. I think it's
Alyssa.
I think it's... Hold on. No, but not the core of that alliance. I think it's Alyssa, I think it's Kylan, and I think it's Angela. I think those people are extremely tight with each other. And then I think Tyson's involved with that too.
Well, I don't know that Big Brother was the thing that was keeping that glue keeping them together. I think that it was completely separate from that. And we don't know that David was even included.
Sure.
Yeah. Unless Enzo told David to not throw in the Amazing Race team, that was literally the most low-effort throw-in you could do because there's just the two of them.
All right. I have 3 minutes before I need to leave. You guys can keep going, right. But is there anything that we definitely want to talk about before we have to go?
No, I mean, do we have any... Is for winner picks, you guys just think it's Tyson on the men's side and Angela on the women's side? There's nothing to change?
Yeah. Right now, that's where I'm still sticking. That just seems like the most... Like, if you were playing the best odds right now, I would put them on Tyson and Angela. Now, it doesn't mean they're going to, but I think they're the front runners.
Who's second for each of those groups?
Kylan
for the men feels pretty clear to me.
Kayla probably 2 for me.
Really?
Because she's getting a lot of screen time.
I say Desi for the women.
I feel good about that.
Yeah.
I think the way the algorithm falls, Kayla's making this final. Like, I just...
What is how this algorithm
this is
falls
happening.
mean? You got inside.
I mean, if
you
they
got
go
inside the chickens
through
that have their
who's
heads-
left,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I just think there's more heat on other people, and she's going to be able to stay under the radar. Like, this week was tailor-made for them to go in, and they didn't. And it just, things are going to happen, and I think that I think Leo is not long for this game, but I think she survives to the final.
I just
And
think
she's
there's-
shown to at least be competent.
I think there's a chance she's the worst woman left, though. If Cachet goes next week.
The worst woman?
Yeah.
I think you have a group of people at the bottom.
I think she's better than Justine. That might be the only person she's better than. I mean, Alyssa's decent, but like at the same time, I just don't know how good Alyssa actually is because she's not gotten as much like game screen time. Like, I just can't tell.
I have Alyssa below Kayla from preseason scouting too. Like Justine had more of an athletic background than I think either of them did.
For chance to win. For chance to win or just physical ability?
Let's just say week by week who's performing the best.
From a physical perspective?
Just missions, eliminations, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think Alyssa's got the politics down pat because there's not really been much of a whisper against her this entire game. So she has a good shot. I think she's got the golden seat to the final. So if it's 4 teams in the final, I mean, I think it's fairly certain that it's going to be Kayla, Angela, Alyssa, and then the wild card. Because Sarah, who knows?
I don't see why Desi's in any worse position than she is.
Then who?
I think she and Sarah are in the same slot. Like,
no,
I think you could interchange them at this point.
Sarah's been burned by somebody who's going to keep going at them, and she's going to go at them. Somebody who's really good, too. Desi hasn't done that. She convinced somebody not to do that this week, seemingly.
Yeah.
All right.
Either way, I think we're about to hit the tipping point of the season where it's been really good up to this point. This week was a lull. It's going to get interesting because there's a lot of good females left, and the male side's going to be interesting. So I'm excited to see where this plays out, too.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're in for a good ending to this season. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.